I don't know why, but I have this idea in my mind that going through tough times and putting myself in purposely in situations that are tougher is really the only way to get better. I mean, I guess I said I don't know, but there's been a lot in my life to kind of like lead me to this point about feeling numb for a few years, depression, anxiety, lacking a sense of fulfillment and all that stuff. It's kind of led me there, but in a few weeks, I'm going to be moving somewhere. I don't know exactly where. And I looked at places, that whole thing, and the feeling I got when I was at these places, it wasn't even based on anxiety or nerves or like any of that kind of stuff. It was just genuinely like the vibe, the feeling I got was so intensely negative that it made me rethink a lot of stuff. Like I went to 3 different places in 3 different parts, like they were each like half an hour away from each other on a whim, just went out. And the feeling I got the first place was like, it's weird because I was looking at this place, I was kind of picturing myself there, thinking about what it would be like to do this and that there. And then I got there and it was so drastic a difference that I was like, oh my gosh. Even if I want to do this thing about putting myself through hell or putting myself through whatever to be better, I would be on the verge of like suicide. Like based on how I felt there, like it was easy. Like if I was there for any extended amount of time, it would be rough. There was even a black cat in the window. There was a black cat in the window of the place I was looking at. Like, does it get much more obvious than that something's not right? Like, it was crazy. Like, the roof was like falling apart and all that stuff, and of course, like the photos and stuff look different. And of course, I'm broke, so I'm like looking at places that are like very cheap within the area I'm looking at, so it's understandable, but this one was an outlier. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in my DNA, mental or whatever, but I just absorb the feeling of a place or people or all this stuff like intensely, so intensely that I journal a few times a day, so that I write songs. I cry at like commercials. I cry at movies. I cry at all sorts of things when it hits the right thing because I just am so intense. Like I'll specifically watch shows or specifically have my light. Like for example, yesterday after going through this stuff, I had this intensely negative feeling. So when I came back, that thing was completely open and this one was shut. And for the next day, I had this terrible feeling in this room because it was all connected to that. So I came back and I literally just switched them and it immediately felt a lot better. Like the vibe got a lot better. And it was literally just switching windows. And it's because of my association to these things is so strong. It's so intense that I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's why the negative that I was seeing with these places is like eye-opening because my gut, my whatever, does not mess around. I'm sure it's the same with you. Whenever you feel something, wherever you're going through it and you get a vibe where you like kind of sense it, whether it's like friendships, whether it's like a job, whether it's moving somewhere, whether it's eating on a plate, it could be like anything. But when you get it and the feeling is really intense, there's no doing it. It doesn't have, like if you feel strongly negative, it's gonna, unless you have to do it, you're not gonna do it, like, because it's just asking to be going through it. So that's why when thinking about these things, like I told you all this stuff and yet I'm still considering going to one of these places and staying there. Thankfully it's like a month-to-month deal, so at the very least I'd only have to go 1 month if I really hated it. And the thing about it is it's not even the place itself, like the actual physical living space. Like I could live there and I would be fine. It's the feeling I got in that area and comparing it to how I feel now. I'm desperate to get out of this place, and this place feels like a safe haven compared to that. So I'm like, do I really want to put myself through hell just to kind of push myself out of my limits that much more? Or do I want to be in a situation where I'm still somewhat comfortable and not going insane and not risking my mental sanity? It's just an interesting spot to be in because in a lot of ways life's been so hollow that there's not been a lot of choices necessarily, unless I wanted to just stay in this hollow space where I'm kind of like not feeling and kind of like could be doing more and but it's really pushing my mind where I'm like, I don't really know if I could take it doing that. So I'm like, I'm in this in between about going to a spot where I know it would be much more comfortable, but I know I'd be mentally like, I'd likely be complacent mentally, so it'd probably drive me a bit insane. Or do I go and do this thing, which very well could drive me insane and be there for at least a month? I don't know. It's so tough. And it's this dilemma of like wanting, because I want to do so much. I want to be great at whatever I do. I want to have all this stuff, and that takes a lot of this stuff. It takes a lot of being uncomfortable. It takes a lot of that. But it also has been to the point, like the last few weeks and the last few months, like has been really tough here. So I'm like, could I handle it there, or would I go insane? And obviously, life doesn't give you more than you can take. But I really don't want to be in a situation where I'm constantly going insane and constantly feeling a certain way and like wanting to be done and checking the days and checking the time and going to sleep earlier or waking up whatever and doing this and that just to pass the time to like count down the days. I really don't want to be in that spot. And I'm not, even though it's tough here, I'm not in that spot. I wake up at 6 a.m. most days, no matter what I'm doing, and I go to bed at like 10, 11. So I'm awake and kind of present within whatever happens in life most days. So I'm not really avoiding it here, but I do know that if I was in that situation, and if I felt the way I did when I was there, if I felt that every day, it would be really tough to not try and shell myself and like just grind, doing what I'm doing and focus on it just to pass the days and, oh, I'll get that next week and the next week and the next week, and then I'm done and then be out. It's something about it that doesn't seem right to me, because I'm like, I'm not trying to prove anything necessarily. Like, there's nothing about like going to the spot or anything that really matters that much outside of just being in a spot that is more uncomfortable. Like, there's no one I know where I'm looking. It actually makes it tougher, because here at least, like, split it with family, stuff like that, it allows for like family to come and if friends want to come. But if I went there, I wouldn't be able to see that. So one of the biggest things in my head is like, oh shoot, if I went there and stayed there however long, I wouldn't be able to really be with family or friends and all that stuff. And that adds to this why I'm like, I don't know if I could really take it, because it's not even the being alone part, it's the fact of not having that ability to be around people or have that's so tough, because I'm just so lacking. And like the feeling department, just so lacking. It's interesting, and it's why I do these videos. It's why I like write. It's why I'm in this apartment by myself. It's why any of this stuff is lacking feeling and trying to find feeling. And so part of me is like, is this does this give me opportunities to like get closer to feeling or like being around and stuff that whatever, or am I just doing it just because I want to try to prove something to myself? And it ties back to this wanting to be great, wanting to do all this stuff, and like going through hell to make myself better, because I thought this was really tough. Like the feeling I had these days coming back from like doing my stuff at like night was like really negative, and that is like sunshine and daisies compared to where that felt. So I'm like, is it just a waste? Like, should I even try to do that? Or I don't know. Yesterday was probably the worst day, one of the top worst days of my entire life. Just the way I felt, just the feeling. It kind of felt like just being like pushed down with a whole bunch of just, I don't even know if it's sadness, but it's just like, maybe it's a mixture of like stress, anxiety, fear, just so much weight I felt on there, because I'm like, am I really gonna be in a situation where I feel worse than I do now and just have to be in that? Is it really gonna get that much worse and then I just have to deal with that? Like, I had this perception that, okay, it can't be worse than this, or at least on like a similar level to this, but to have it be that much worse is very concerning, and it's kind of been plaguing my mind so much so that I made this video with the topic of going through whatever, stuff like that, but I'm really just ranting about this stuff, about if I should do this move or not, and there's not really an inherent answer. Over the next few weeks, I gotta decide over the next like two and a half weeks, but I'm like, it's like asking to get hit in the face or asking to get like a flowers if I go one way. It's pretty obvious which one is gonna be tougher and which one is gonna be a lot easier. So it blows my mind that the tougher thing is I'm still leaning towards, and I'm like, it's really not like logistics or anything. It's not like, there's not really anything in my way. Like, there's opportunities to do both sides. It's this mindset of wanting to do more, wanting to push more, not wanting to be stuck in that numb loop that is keeping me from being like, you know what, I'll just do that and do the easy route and stuff like that. I've already gone through a pretty tumultuous last 8-9 months here. Like, it's been pretty dang tough on this guy. It's why I've done so many random different stuff. It's why I sit here and make videos about a whole bunch of different things, tried a whole bunch of different things, and really sat at this apartment and tried to like process my grief and trauma and all that stuff. I'm curious about if any of you guys are in a similar spot, if you're going through it. I don't even know if this helps, but yeah, this is just me venting. Hope you have a great day, and check out any of these videos. See ya.